So, one of the effects that I use in this, and I use everywhere else, and I use in the studio, and I basically use everywhere, is something that's called Fade to Grey, and I'm just wondering where I've actually hidden it. I'm going to bring it out so that we don't have to worry about all the rest of this. That can hide, that can hide. Now, there is actually a Fade to Grey plugin that comes built into Ableton. This is a improved version of that. Sounds kind of better. So it comes in this template, and if you want a copy of it or whatever, just drop me an email and I can send you the link, or I can possibly send it out after this. It's kind of available. I think Tarek has made it. But this is really simple. You've got this one knob here, this dry wet knob here, and that sweeps a high pass filter in on the EQ8 and a low pass filter in on the EQ8, and they cross in the middle like that. It's all very pretty when you see it like that. And then you've got this ping pong delay afterwards, and while you turn this knob up, the dry wet is turning up and the feedback is turning up, and this is a synced ping pong delay. So what this sounds like is this. So you can have a lot of fun with this. It's a very expressive effect. It's one I go to for a lot of different things. You can use it to slowly bring tracks in. You can use it at the end of a track to give it a nice kind of ambient fade away. Because of both high and low passes, it can help stuff sit in the mix. The kind of combination of high, low pass, and the bit of delay that kind of washes the track out a bit can help with the blending and stuff like that. This is typically an effect that if I have it right there on a knob for every channel, and I'm hammering it constantly because it's such a kind of bread and butter thing. So to construct that, I mean, it's a very simple one. So it's pretty self-evident. But we've got two points set up on the two EQ points set up on the EQ8, and their resonance. What is that? I forget which one that is. The EQ is automated somewhat, and the frequency is automated somewhat. So if we bring this open, we can actually see all the mappings and the ranges that go into this rack. Now this mapping mode we're seeing here, this is not MIDI mapping, this is actually the macro rack mapping. And I really encourage you when you're building effects to actually build them inside macro racks first. Get all the behavior right just using the mapping tools that you use here internally, and then only really map that out to a controller once it's been packaged up as a neat little macro rack with some nice labeled knobs and things like that. You will save yourself a world of hurt and kind of pain trying to map things into complex runs of effects. So we can see we've got frequency, one frequency and two frequency. One of them goes from 30 hertz to 22,000 hertz. The other one goes from 22,000 hertz to 30 hertz. The resonances are both going from 0.78 to 6. So you can see as I turn that up, the resonance turns up. And it actually crosses in the middle, which is important. It means it's muted for almost half the motion of the knob. I found that just by kind of adjusting it until it sounded the most awesome. There's no like magical theory that taught me that. It's just like it's a point. And you've got the device on control here for the EQ8, so that the minimum is 1 and the max is 0, which means when it's 0, it's on. When it's 0, it's off, and basically any other value above that, it will turn on. So I think it actually stays off on 1 as well. Yeah. Which means the effect does actually get turned off, and there's no CPU load when you've got this turned down. But as you bring this up, it turns on, and it starts switching through. And you can see for the ping pong delay, all you've got is the dry wet from 0 to 85, and the feedback from 0 to 85. So while on the surface of it, this effect is just one knob that you just turn, there's a whole bunch of kind of parameters automated in complement with each other to move at specific kinds of ranges that sound good. And you've got two different effects in there that are interacting to produce something that's kind of more interesting than either of them. And yeah, the whole thing just gets packaged up in this little rack, and then I load this rack actually into this other rack, and it's just kind of this modular little thing that's being constructed in Ableton.